Are you eating clean, taking supplements every day, working out consistently, and still wondering why your energy crashes, your recovery feels slow, and your performance never reaches the level you expect? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. One of the biggest myths in health and fitness is that peak performance comes from working harder. People believe that if they simply train longer, eat more protein, or buy the latest supplement, their body will automatically become stronger, leaner, and more resilient. But here's what's really going on inside your body. Performance isn't created in the gym. It's created by how efficiently your body produces energy, manages stress, repairs damaged tissue, balances hormones, and recovers between training sessions. Think of your body like a high-performance sports car. Most people focus entirely on pressing the accelerator, that's exercise. Very few pay attention to the quality of the fuel, the condition of the engine, the cooling system, or regular maintenance. Eventually, even the most powerful engine begins to lose performance if it's constantly pushed without proper recovery. The exact same thing happens inside the human body. Your mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside your cells, need the right nutrients to produce ATP, the molecule that powers every heartbeat, muscle contraction, and thought you have. Your liver regulates blood sugar and stores nutrients. Your muscles depend on protein synthesis to repair themselves. Your brain depends on stable glucose regulation and healthy neurotransmitters to stay focused. And your hormones, including insulin, cortisol, testosterone, growth hormone, and thyroid hormones, must all work together like members of a perfectly coordinated orchestra. When even one of these systems falls out of balance, performance begins to decline long before disease appears. You may notice lower energy, poor sleep, stubborn body fat, slower recovery, brain fog, or simply feeling older than your age. The encouraging news is that these systems are remarkably responsive to the choices you make every day. What the research shows is that sustainable peak performance doesn't come from extreme diets or miracle supplements. It comes from combining intelligent nutrition, evidence-based supplementation, quality sleep, stress management, and strategic recovery into one integrated system. Recent systematic reviews continue to show that nutrition timing, adequate protein intake, and only a handful of supplements such as caffeine for performance and selected amino acids in specific contexts have consistent evidence, while many popular supplements offer little measurable benefit. Throughout this video, we're going to build that system together. We'll separate evidence from marketing. We'll explore how metabolism actually works. We'll discuss which foods truly support long-term performance, which supplements deserve your money, and which ones probably don't. Most importantly, you'll leave with a practical daily protocol you can begin implementing immediately, one designed not just for athletes, but for anyone who wants more energy, sharper focus, better recovery, healthier aging, and a body that performs the way it was designed to. And if you're serious about understanding your body instead of simply treating symptoms, consider subscribing. Every day, we break down complex health science into practical strategies you can actually use to optimize your metabolism, improve your health naturally, and perform at your very best. Imagine your body is a hybrid car. Sometimes it runs on electricity. Sometimes it runs on gasoline. The most efficient hybrid switches smoothly between both fuel sources depending on the driving conditions. Your metabolism works in much the same way. Here's what's really going on inside your body. You have two primary fuel sources, glucose, which comes mainly from carbohydrates, and fatty acids, which come from stored body fat and dietary fat. A metabolically healthy body can transition efficiently between these fuels depending on activity level, meal timing, and energy demands. This ability is called metabolic flexibility. Unfortunately, many people lose this flexibility. Years of frequent snacking, highly processed foods, poor sleep, and chronic stress keep insulin elevated for much of the day. Insulin is an essential hormone. It helps move glucose into cells, but when it remains chronically high, your body becomes less efficient at accessing stored fat for energy. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of insulin as the key that locks the door to your body's fat storage. When insulin rises after a meal, that's completely normal. The door temporarily closes while your body uses incoming nutrients. But if insulin stays elevated all day because you're constantly eating refined carbohydrates or sugary snacks, that door rarely opens. Your body becomes increasingly dependent on another meal for energy instead of tapping into its own stored fuel. Over time, this contributes to unstable energy levels, increased hunger, reduced endurance, and difficulty managing body composition. What the research shows is that improving metabolic flexibility doesn't require extreme diets. Instead, it comes from consistently supporting healthy insulin sensitivity through nutrition, regular physical activity, resistance training, adequate sleep, and maintaining a healthy body weight. Studies also show that endurance exercise enhances mitochondrial function, allowing muscles to use both fat and carbohydrates more efficiently during different intensities of activity. So what does this look like in practice? Start every meal by prioritizing high quality protein, around 25 to 40 grams depending on your body size and activity level. Include colorful vegetables to provide fiber and micronutrients. Add healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado, nuts, or fatty fish. Then adjust your carbohydrate intake according to your activity level rather than automatically eliminating or over-consuming carbohydrates. On training days, placing more of your carbohydrate intake around workouts can help replenish muscle glycogen and support recovery. On less active days, emphasizing vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats may improve appetite control and metabolic health. This isn't about fearing carbohydrates, it's about teaching your metabolism to become adaptable again. When your body regains the ability to efficiently switch between glucose and fat, energy becomes more stable, recovery improves, and your metabolism begins working with you instead of against you. And if this explanation is helping you understand your body in a completely new way, make sure you subscribe. Every day we explore the science behind metabolism and turn it into practical strategies you can apply immediately. Now that we've built the foundation of metabolic flexibility, let's talk about the single most important component of any peak performance diet. It's not carbohydrates, it's not fat, it's protein, but not for the reason most people think. Most people associate protein only with building muscle. While that's certainly true, its role goes much deeper. Protein provides the amino acids your body uses to repair tissues, produce enzymes, manufacture hormones, support immune function, build neurotransmitters, and maintain nearly every organ in your body. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every single day, your body is constantly breaking down and rebuilding proteins. This natural process is called protein turnover. Training, aging, illness, stress, and even normal daily activities increase the demand for repair. If your diet doesn't provide enough high-quality protein, your body has fewer building blocks available for recovery and adaptation. Think of your body as a construction site. Exercise is like sending workers to renovate a building. Resistance training creates tiny, controlled amounts of damage to muscle fibers. But those workers can't rebuild anything unless the delivery trucks arrive carrying bricks, cement, steel, and tools. Protein is those building materials. Without enough of it, recovery slows, strength gains plateau, and even your immune system may struggle to keep up. What the research shows is that total daily protein intake matters more than consuming one massive protein shake after a workout. Current sports nutrition guidelines generally recommend around 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for physically active adults, with those engaged in intense resistance training often benefiting toward the higher end of that range. Research also suggests distributing protein across the day, typically 20 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal, helps maximize muscle protein synthesis more effectively than consuming most of it in one sitting. Quality matters just as much as quantity. Animal-based proteins such as eggs, fish, Greek yogurt, poultry, and lean meats naturally contain all 9 essential amino acids. Plant-based eaters can absolutely meet their needs as well by including foods like soy, lentils, beans, quinoa, tofu, tempeh, and combining a variety of protein sources throughout the day. But peak performance isn't just about protein. Micronutrients quietly determine how efficiently your metabolism functions. Magnesium helps produce ATP, the energy currency of every cell. Zinc supports immune health, hormone production, and tissue repair. Iron carries oxygen to working muscles. B vitamins convert food into usable energy. Omega-3 fatty acids help regulate inflammation and support brain function. Vitamin D influences muscle strength, immune resilience, and hormone signaling. Rather than chasing dozens of expensive supplements, begin by building nutrient density into every plate. A simple performance meal might include grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, quinoa, leafy greens, olive oil, and berries for dessert. In one meal, you've supplied complete protein, healthy fats, fiber, antioxidants, minerals, and slow-digesting carbohydrates that work together to support recovery. Notice the pattern. Instead of asking, "What supplement should I buy?" ask a better question. What nutrients does my body actually need to perform this repair? When you consistently answer that question with whole, minimally processed foods, your physiology begins working in your favor. Muscle repair improves. Energy production becomes more efficient. Hormones receive the raw materials they need. And your body becomes increasingly resilient, not because of one magic food, but because every meal is contributing to a stronger biological foundation. That's the difference between eating simply to satisfy hunger and eating to build a high-performance human body. Now let's address one of the most confusing topics in modern nutrition: supplements. Walk into any nutrition store and you'll find thousands of products claiming to increase energy, accelerate fat loss, boost testosterone, sharpen focus, or dramatically improve recovery. The supplement industry is worth billions of dollars because it sells hope, but your body doesn't respond to marketing, it responds to biology. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Supplements are exactly what their name suggests. They are designed to supplement an already solid foundation, not replace one. If you're sleeping 5 hours a night, eating mostly ultra-processed foods, living under chronic stress, and skipping meals, no powder or capsule can compensate for those habits. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you're building a house. Your nutrition is the foundation, exercise is the framework, recovery is the roof, supplements are the finishing touches, things like better lighting or fresh paint. They can certainly improve the final result, but they can't prevent the house from collapsing if the foundation is weak. What the research shows is that only a relatively small number of supplements consistently demonstrate meaningful benefits for healthy adults. Everything else should be considered based on individual needs, dietary gaps, or laboratory-confirmed deficiencies. Let's begin with the supplements that have the strongest evidence. The first is creatine monohydrate. Many people think creatine is only for bodybuilders, but that's a misconception. Creatine helps regenerate ATP, the immediate source of energy your muscles use during high-intensity exercise. Research over the past 2 decades has consistently shown that creatine improves strength, power output, training capacity, and muscle recovery. Emerging evidence also suggests it may support brain function and healthy aging by improving cellular energy availability. A practical protocol is 3 to 5 grams daily, taken consistently. Timing matters far less than consistency. Next is protein powder. Protein powder isn't inherently better than whole food. It's simply a convenient way to meet your daily protein target when life gets busy. If you already consume enough high-quality protein from food, you may not need it at all. Third is omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA. These healthy fats become part of your cell membranes and play important roles in regulating inflammation, supporting cardiovascular health, maintaining brain function, and promoting recovery. If you eat fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, or mackerel 2 or 3 times per week, your intake may already be sufficient. Otherwise, a high-quality fish oil supplement can help fill that gap. Fourth is vitamin D. Vitamin D functions more like a hormone than a traditional vitamin. It influences immune health, muscle function, bone health, and many aspects of metabolic regulation. Because deficiency is common in many parts of the world, especially among people who spend little time outdoors, testing your blood level before supplementing is the most evidence-based approach. Fifth is magnesium. Magnesium participates in more than 300 enzymatic reactions throughout the body. It contributes to energy production, muscle relaxation, nervous system regulation, and sleep quality. While leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains provide magnesium naturally, some people still fall short, particularly those under high stress or with poor dietary quality. Now let's talk about what not to do. Avoid chasing proprietary blends with dozens of ingredients hidden behind impressive labels. Be skeptical of supplements promising instant fat loss, hormone optimization, or detoxification. If a product sounds too good to be true, it almost always is. Instead, invest your money where the evidence is strongest. Buy quality food, prioritize consistent training, protect your sleep, use a few well-researched supplements when they genuinely fit your needs. The goal isn't to create the biggest supplement stack, the goal is to create the healthiest metabolism. And if you're finding value in separating real science from clever marketing, consider subscribing. Every day we dive into the evidence behind nutrition, metabolism, and healthy aging so you can make informed decisions with confidence rather than confusion. Now we've covered nutrition and supplementation, but there's one piece of the puzzle that many high achievers overlook: recovery. Ironically, the stronger you want to become, the more seriously you need to take recovery. Many people think muscles grow during a workout. In reality, they don't. Muscles are challenged during training, but they're rebuilt during recovery. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every workout creates a controlled form of stress. Muscle fibers develop microscopic tears, glycogen stores become depleted, your nervous system works overtime, and stress hormones temporarily rise. This is a healthy response. In fact, it's exactly what stimulates your body to adapt. But adaptation only happens if your body is given enough time and resources to repair. Think of training as making a withdrawal from your biological bank account. Every workout is an investment in your future performance, but it also temporarily depletes your recovery reserves. Sleep, proper nutrition, hydration, and rest are the deposits that refill that account. If you keep making withdrawals without replacing what you've spent, eventually your balance reaches zero. That's when progress stalls, performance drops, injuries become more common, motivation fades, and your body begins operating in survival mode instead of growth mode. What the research shows is that sleep is the single most powerful recovery tool available. During deep sleep, your brain clears metabolic waste, growth hormone is released, muscle protein synthesis accelerates, immune cells become more active, and memories, including motor skills learned during training, are strengthened. Even 1 or 2 nights of restricted sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity, impair reaction time, increase perceived effort during exercise, and elevate cortisol levels. This is why someone who sleeps 8 high-quality hours often outperforms someone who trains harder but consistently sleeps only 5 or 6. Let's also talk about the nervous system. Your body has two primary modes. The first is the sympathetic nervous system, often called fight or flight. It's designed for action, competition, and intense exercise. The second is the parasympathetic nervous system, often called rest and digest. This is where healing, digestion, hormone production, and tissue repair take place. Peak performance requires both systems. The problem is that modern life keeps many people stuck in a constant state of low-grade sympathetic activation. Emails, deadlines, financial stress, excessive caffeine, social media, and poor sleep all signal the brain that danger is everywhere, even when you're sitting safely at home. As a result, the body struggles to fully switch into recovery mode. So how do we change that? Start by protecting your sleep schedule. Aim to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. Consistency strengthens your circadian rhythm, making it easier to fall asleep and wake up naturally. Expose yourself to natural morning sunlight within the first hour after waking. This simple habit helps synchronize your internal biological clock, improves nighttime melatonin production, and supports better energy throughout the day. Hydration also deserves more attention. Even mild dehydration can reduce physical performance, impair concentration, and increase feelings of fatigue. A practical goal is to drink water consistently throughout the day, adjusting your intake based on climate, activity level, and sweat losses. After prolonged or intense exercise, replacing electrolytes, particularly sodium, can also support recovery. Finally, schedule recovery with the same discipline you schedule workouts. Include 1 or 2 lower intensity days each week. Go for a walk. Practice mobility exercises, stretch, spend time outdoors. These aren't signs of laziness, they're investments in your next high-quality training session. Remember this principle. Exercise provides the stimulus. Recovery creates the adaptation. Without recovery, training is simply stress. With recovery, stress becomes strength. That's the difference between feeling exhausted after years of exercise and becoming healthier, stronger, and more resilient with every passing decade. So far, we've talked about food, supplements, and recovery. Now it's time to discuss the invisible factor that can quietly undermine all three. Stress. Not just emotional stress, but physiological stress. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your body doesn't distinguish very well between different types of stress. Whether you're dealing with a difficult deadline, sleeping only 5 hours a night, overtraining at the gym, skipping meals, or constantly worrying about the future, your brain activates many of the same biological pathways. At the center of this response is a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol often gets a bad reputation, but the truth is that it's essential for life. In healthy amounts, it helps regulate blood sugar, supports immune function, mobilizes energy during exercise, and keeps you alert when you need to perform. The problem isn't cortisol itself. The problem is when cortisol stays elevated for weeks, months, or even years. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your home has a smoke alarm. When there's real smoke, the alarm should sound. It alerts you to danger so you can respond appropriately. But imagine that alarm never turns off. Eventually, it becomes exhausting. You stop functioning normally, your concentration suffers, and your entire environment is disrupted. Chronically elevated cortisol works in a similar way. Your body remains in a constant state of readiness, diverting resources away from repair, reproduction, and long-term health. Over time, this can interfere with insulin sensitivity, increase cravings for highly processed foods, make fat loss more difficult, reduce muscle protein synthesis, impair sleep quality, and even affect memory and decision-making. What the research shows is that chronic psychological stress is associated with poorer metabolic health, greater visceral fat accumulation, impaired glucose regulation, and increased systemic inflammation. While no one can eliminate stress entirely, improving stress resilience has measurable benefits for both physical performance and long-term health. So, what does an evidence-based stress management protocol actually look like? First, create boundaries around your day. Constant notifications and multitasking keep your brain in a reactive state. Set specific times to check emails and social media rather than responding to every alert immediately. Second, move your body, but don't overdo it. Moderate physical activity helps regulate stress hormones, while excessive high-intensity training without adequate recovery can actually increase physiological stress. Third, prioritize whole foods that stabilize blood sugar. Large swings in glucose can amplify feelings of fatigue and irritability, while balanced meals containing protein, healthy fats, fiber, and minimally processed carbohydrates provide more consistent energy throughout the day. Fourth, Make time for intentional relaxation. This doesn't have to mean sitting in silence for an hour. Even 5 to 10 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing, mindfulness, prayer, gentle stretching, or simply walking in nature can activate the parasympathetic nervous system and signal to your brain that it's safe to recover. Finally, don't underestimate the power of relationships. Strong social connections have been consistently linked with better stress resilience, improved mental health, and even longer life expectancy. Performance isn't built in isolation, it thrives in healthy communities. Here's a principle worth remembering. You don't become stronger simply by adding more stress. You become stronger by increasing your capacity to recover from stress. That's true for your muscles, it's true for your metabolism, and it's true for your brain. If you've been focusing only on training harder, perhaps the missing piece isn't more effort. Perhaps it's creating an internal environment where your body finally feels safe enough to heal, adapt, and perform at its highest level. And if this series is helping you understand the science behind your health in a practical way, consider subscribing. Every day, we break down complex physiology into simple strategies that help you build lasting energy, improve metabolic health, and age with strength and resilience. Now it's time to bring everything together into one simple, practical protocol that you can begin using tomorrow morning. Remember, peak performance isn't created by one perfect meal, one miracle supplement, or one intense workout. It's created by hundreds of small decisions that consistently support your body's biology. Think of this as your 24-hour performance cycle. Every decision either helps your metabolism produce energy efficiently or it creates another obstacle your body has to overcome. Let's walk through a typical day. Start your morning by exposing your eyes to natural sunlight within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. This simple habit helps set your circadian rhythm, supports healthy cortisol release at the right time of day, and improves melatonin production later that evening. Before reaching for your second or third cup of coffee, drink a large glass of water. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body wakes up mildly dehydrated. Replacing fluids early can improve alertness, circulation, and physical performance. For breakfast, prioritize 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein if it fits your lifestyle and hunger. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, smoked salmon, or a protein smoothie with fruit are excellent options. Starting your day with protein helps support muscle protein synthesis, improves satiety, and may reduce unnecessary snacking later in the day. If you exercise, fuel according to the intensity of your training. For strength training or high-intensity workouts, include a serving of complex carbohydrates such as oats, fruit, potatoes, or rice, alongside lean protein to replenish muscle glycogen and accelerate recovery. For lower-intensity activities like walking, yoga, or mobility work, you may not need as many carbohydrates depending on your overall energy needs and goals. Throughout the day, build each meal around a simple formula: a high-quality source of protein, plenty of colorful vegetables, healthy fats such as olive oil, avocado, nuts, or seeds, fiber-rich carbohydrates matched to your activity level, water as your primary beverage. This one framework supports blood sugar stability, gut health, hormone production, and sustained energy far better than constantly chasing the latest diet trend. When it comes to supplements, keep things simple. If appropriate for your individual needs and after discussing them with your healthcare professional, consider evidence-supported options like creatine monohydrate, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D when deficient, magnesium if dietary intake is inadequate, and protein powder only when whole food intake falls short. As evening approaches, begin preparing your body for recovery. Reduce bright light exposure 1 to 2 hours before bed. Limit heavy meals and excessive alcohol close to bedtime. Keep your bedroom cool, quiet, and dark. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night because that's when your body performs much of its repair work. Finally, remember one of the most important lessons from today's discussion. Don't judge your health by how you feel today. Judge it by the habits you're repeating every day. Peak performance isn't built in one workout. It's built meal by meal, night by night, recovery by recovery, decision by decision. When you consistently provide your body with the nutrients it needs, train intelligently, manage stress, and protect your recovery, your metabolism begins to work the way it was designed to. More stable energy, better focus, improved body composition, greater resilience, and healthier aging. These aren't separate goals. They're all different expressions of the same thing, a body whose systems are working together instead of fighting each other. That's what true peak performance really looks like.